On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to the Sober is Dope podcast. I'm your host, Pop Buchanan. It's been a while since we have done an episode, so I'm here just to catch up with everyone and to say hello. Today, I want to just talk about some of the new developments in the Sober is Dope community. I want to thank everyone that has been part of Sober is Dope. For the last 6 years, Sober is Dope is about to reach our 6-year anniversary. And we're really excited about that. It's been a long time coming to share this podcast experience with you guys. And I'm just really excited to be back in this capacity. This episode is literally about me catching up on the idea of why it's important to choose healing and recovery. And what I mean by healing is using our recovery to take our lives to the next level. Because for most of us, we tend to shelter ourselves in recovery. I know I did for a lot of years, based on fear of missing out. I wouldn't always put myself out there. I was sometimes afraid to connect with people. I kind of dealt with a lot of issues of isolation. And even though I was happy, it's still a bigger idea of what healing looks like in recovery. So for most of you guys who's new to recovery or even have time in, and you kind of lose yourself a bit because you're so caught up in trying to maintain the perfection of your recovery that you forget to live a bit. So I really want to stress living in recovery. We don't talk about that enough. The beauty of being clean and sober, or the beauty of being sober or clean. Some people are just clean, right? They're not doing drugs. Some people are sober. They're not drinking, which is fine. There's 100 different ways to categorize people in recovery. There's no one set way of doing it. On Sober is Dope, what we like to talk about and what we really care about is the simplicity of you avoiding your drug of choice. Every individual have a drug of choice that they need to avoid. Not you shouldn't do anything because that's none of my business. It should be what works for you, right? In my case, alcohol turned me into the Tasmanian devil, and no one could stop the Tasmanian devil called pop. So I have to not drink because it eventually just makes me unhappy with myself. So how do we use our recovery to live life and to have fun and to embrace who we really are and to thrive and to really connect with people without needing the external crutch of the drug of choice that we tend to rely on or have relied on in the past? And the beauty of just choosing yourself in recovery and just being comfortable with who you are. And, a lot of people out there just struggle intrinsically with their recovery journey because they just can't let go of their past or the behaviors of their past. They still tied to maybe a certain group of friends who do a certain activity every month, or a certain place where everyone go to hang out, or a certain ex or somebody that they're still stuck on, or relying on another human being to make you happy is a recipe for disaster in the recovery space, because you need to learn to love yourself, and kind of living life in that space is important. So this message today is simple. Just love yourself. Absolutely, in every way possible. Not just enough to stop drinking or doing drugs, but enough to use your sobriety to take yourself to the next level. Wearing your sobriety is a badge of honor. Really embracing who you are on the next level. This is important, all right? Because One of the best things you could do, this biohacking that people like to talk about, is to not drink and do drugs. That's the first thing. Like, so you already have this edge in the space. Like, you're not drinking, you're not doing drugs, your brain is healing, you're gonna put yourself in a younger, healthier state than you were in before, why before you found sobriety, right? You're gonna be in a better state than you were in your addiction. And using that as like a superpower and a little flex to kind of like turn on a switch to take your life to the next level, whether it's through creativity, whether it's through business, whether it's through social. I realize we had this social kind of like superpower that we don't know how to use. I'm still learning it too. Like, you may walk into a restaurant where people were drinking and having fun, and you might feel like you can't connect or unwind because you're a little stiff. But the way they may perceive your stiffness as you being very regal, polished, and professional, and somebody that you want to talk to, and somebody endearing, right? We kind of sometimes perceive ourselves based on how we feel, but that may not be how you project or how you look, right? So I have to remember sometime if I'm sober and I walk into a place and I'm a little timid or I'm not 100% I'm not loose like I was 13 years ago when I was swinging from the chandeliers. It doesn't mean that I'm not social or I'm weak. It just means that I am in a different space now, and how the world may perceive that may be more positive than I perceive it myself.
This episode is brought to you by Liquid IV. When you hydrate with Liquid IV, you're powered by Hydroscience. Hydroscience is Liquid IV's science-backed formula with an optimized ratio of electrolytes, vitamins, and nutrients. Experience great-tasting hydration for mental clarity, physical endurance, and overall well-being. Sip into something that up-levels every moment. Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Visit us at liquidiv.com.
Using a Clorox disinfecting wipe to clean that stuck-on sauce from the stove feels like...
Oh, boy. That tickles. Stop.
It feels like coming home to your needy corgi after a long day.
Best part of the day, finally.
With Clorox, clean feels carefree. Clean feels good. Use as directed.
Hold on. Pause. So I say all of that to say, here's a few of my tips. If advice that I'll give, if you're in recovery and you feel stuck and you don't feel like you're living, or you don't feel as beautiful, as exciting as you want. So here's a few of my tips. First and foremost, use your recovery as the foundation to transform your mind, body, and spirit. So let's start with the mind. If you're not in a positive state, if you're in a state where you're telling yourself all of these negative things, you're going to feel that, right? You are what you speak, you are what you think. So watch how you speak to yourself, watch how you think about yourself, and watch the judgments you impose on yourself. We have to be careful with this. When we tell ourselves negative things, I can't do that, that's not for me, I can't be that, I'm not part of that crowd. You limit yourself, right? And this is a form of fear. If we can get over the fear of life in recovery, we can elevate ourselves. Just like we use our addiction to cope with the fear of life, we have to use our sobriety to heal from the fear of life and to move forward. Can't let fear restrict us forever. And I know we don't have the same liquid courage or the same drug courage we used to have when we were using, but you could replace those things with confidence builders like affirmation, prayer, exercise, taking care of yourself, using meditation and things like that to build your brain out, right? Being healthy, eating healthy, investing in beautifying yourself and restoring your body to a healthier state, right? Maybe losing weight, maybe building muscle, maybe introducing yourself into some holistic hobby like yoga, tai chi, mountain climbing, bicycling, something to take your life to another level, to change the trajectory of your life into a positive way. Remember, confidence is something that you could work on every day, right? And I'm working on it. I tell you, I have a lot of fears. I'm human. No one is walking around this planet without fear. Fear is something that protects us. It's a evolutionary trait that we have to keep us safe, right? Your body releases cortisol and you feel these kind of chemicals that make you cautious and fearful for certain things and putting yourself out there. Doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're tired. It doesn't mean that um there's something wrong with you. It just means that you're letting that fear take over too much. And how you replace it is you take micro steps in approaching your fear, right? So for me, my fear for many years was like talking on camera or even like putting myself out there. I didn't like doing it. I'm not that type of, I just didn't care to do it too much. I didn't like the way I look. I didn't like the way I felt. And then, I had to start somewhere, like taking pictures and posting pictures, then maybe slowly posting a 1 minute clip, then saying, well, let me just post myself not looking well or not being the best because I am improving. And in time as you improve, you feel more confident about who you are. So confidence builders, you know, affirmations, prayers, exercises, they can replace the courage as your drug of choice. Use those things to level up. Use this period in your life to kind of take that clarity and take it to the next level. It's okay if you don't want to keep people hot, be around too many people, or do too much. That's okay. I want you to feel like you have the option always to elevate yourself and to love yourself in recovery because we get stuck, right? This episode is kind of appealing to that stuck feeling we get sometimes. I just did an interview with my friend Sarah Michaud, and we were talking about kind of like some of the roadblocks some people may have, like the fear of missing out, like, not being part of the in crowd because you may be sober and feeling like isolated from that world or the party world. Like me, I'm a hip hop artist, right? So I have to, it's challenging. I have to be like, okay, I may have to go into an environment where a show is at a bar and people are drinking, and I'm like, I got to deal with this tonight. I got to go in there. But I could go in there with the comfort knowing that, hey, part of my superpower is my recovery. Part of that recovery is that I'm clear and focused, I'm strong, and I'm always going to be in a stable emotional state to the best of my ability. But if I frame it differently, like, oh, I'm going in, I don't know what to do, people's going to be like this. Remember, you always have one up on somebody that's drinking or doing drugs. If you're sober, you're always going to have a one up because you're in your natural state. You're not in this altered state. So you need to find comfort in that. And I'm learning. I'm taking my advice. I'm still learning, y'all. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm very antisocial. I don't really like dealing with people too much. People come with a lot of baggage that I prefer not to deal with. I don't like getting triggered. I don't like putting myself out there, but I have to sometime, right? So use the confidence builders to put yourself out there a little bit more and feel more comfortable with loving yourself. So how do we really love ourselves on this recovery journey and use our recovery in a way that benefits us in the long run? You do it one day at a time. And what that means is you could take every day in some little way to build yourself up. So what I do is I do little things. I say I have to do some form of exercise every day, even if it's standing leg lifts, a jumping jack, 5 push-ups, a walk down the block, 2 squats. Let's do something. For me as a man, I like to groom myself. Every day I do a little shaving, right? A little shaving, making sure I look good, feel good, taking care of yourself. Investing in clothes, getting into building your wardrobe, making sure you feel good and look good. That's also important. Connecting with the person in your life that you love, making sure they're good, being of service, loving other people, right? Or not. Sometimes you got to leave people alone. Like sometimes you got to leave people alone like, for a year. Sometimes you may not want to talk to people. It's okay. In recovery or in life in general for our mental health, it's okay sometimes just not to be in the mood with everything. All right. So be patient with yourself and love yourself, right? What does that look like? Like, why do we kind of like struggle with that in recovery? Sometimes people relapse just for the simple reason that they don't understand the path. They feel so alone and so isolated. They just like, I don't care. I just want to, like, I don't care. And then they go to a bar or something and they relapse and they have this little moment of freedom that's followed by torturous calamities and depression and shame and guilt and frustration and disappointment. And So what's the moral of the story? The answer is never in going back, and the answer is not in relapsing, because it's going to be a fleeting short experience of fun followed by terror, right? So don't put yourself in such a crazy predicament by choosing something that's not the answer to what you're feeling or what you're the lack of feeling, right? So the whole point of sober is dope is this thing called sobriety is dope because of what? Because it allows you to be a better human being and have a better life experience and be more present and grounded in yourself, in your life. The last thing you want to do is let your whole life go by hiding, pretending, sleeping, drinking, drugging, checking out, just to wake up old, which is nothing wrong with being old because I look forward to it. But I only look forward to it because I have these breadcrumbs of beauty that I'm leaving so I could say I lived when I was young. I'm still young. I want to live. I want to make sure 80-year-old Pop could look back and say 40-year-old Pop lived a hell of a life, did all of these things, all of these memories, all of these things I built, and all of these things I made to express the deepest parts of my soul. I was able to accomplish by honoring my sobriety and recovery, which is simply another way of saying honoring your healing and your health and your vitality and your strength and your soul and your mind body connection, right? Spirit connection. All right. Part of this also is having some spiritual outlet, whether you talk to God, whether you pray, whether you meditate. That's 90% of the game. Having some connection to something higher than you. I just made a joke with my friend saying, I don't care if you pray to a potato, man. You know, God exists in everything. Just or a higher power is always in anything. It could be in yourself, it could be in your soul. Just know that you're not always it. And I take that from my friend Sarah Micho. She said, you're not you may not, or you got to realize that you may not always be it or may not always have the answers, right? Healing is about acknowledging that you may not always have the answers and that it's okay to seek help in other ways. So you listen to Sober is Dope. That's my episode today. It's really short. We launching a new podcast. We have a new podcast studio, different environment. I recently moved and I have a little podcast spot and I'm coming to y'all more. And I'm really excited to really bring this new journey to you guys and this new pop to you because I'm improving myself every day. I feel like I'm a better version of myself than I was 12 years ago, right? And it's been 12 years later. I was obviously younger 12 years ago, but I feel more alive and younger today. It's the benefits of mercy, love, second chances, and recovery. How do we live in recovery? How to live life in recovery? How to take yourself to the next level? How to get stuck outside the boredom of recovery? Because sometimes there's aspects of recovery that can seem bored because you don't have things in place to stack, right? Stacking is important. How do you stack? You have your 9 to 5. That's one thing that you do. You could be sober there, you're around people. But what happens when you get home? Can you enjoy the walk home? Do you have a ritual? Do you love your neighborhood? Do you need to leave and relocate, find a different environment? Do you have a hobby that you do? Do you have something that's a calling? Do you volunteer? Are you creating something? Are you building something? Do you have an outlet to express your creativity? Sometimes boredom and recovery comes from monotony, right? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and not having something to shake it up. And sometimes boredom is just life. Sometimes you got to be like, yo, I had a boring month, but I just got a lot of rest and chill, right? Can't always chase excitement because it's just like chasing addiction or another form. You have to chase just chasing anything. I realize chasing anything is bad. Chasing success is bad. Chasing love is bad. Chasing validation is bad. Chasing addiction is bad. Chasing happiness is bad because you're chasing, you're running. At some point, what happens when you're chasing something? You get tired, you get burnt out, you have to stop, you have to sit down, you have to catch your breath. So instead of chasing, take a break, catch your breath of life, and start over again. Reevaluate what can I be doing differently in my week to add a different dimension of fun to it. For me, it's creating. It's writing, it's making art, it's making music, it's connecting with my friends, it's building businesses, it's being healthy, it's taking care of myself, loving myself. These are the ways in which I'm able to take everything to the next level. So take your life to the next level by breaking through the monotony of the recovery process and saying, yo, this thing is way more empowering than I'm allowing it to be inside of myself. I am limiting myself based on my perception, and I'm not loving myself enough wholly to let myself be free and expressive via my recovery journey. All right, you listening to Sober is Dope. My name is Pop Buchanan. I'm the host of the Sober is Dope podcast. I'm 12 years sober from alcohol. I was an absolute menace. I was a very hard person to deal with. I drank. I did a lot. I was party animal. Wasn't a bad guy, but was very detrimental to myself. I was very mean to myself. Not to many other people, but to myself. Anything bad that I did in my addiction was to hurt myself. And I also hurt other people inadvertently sometime because I was under the influence. And that directly hurted myself to the core because it's not my nature to hurt people. God didn't put me here in all my magnificence and glory to go out there and hurt anyone or hurt myself, right? So I don't want to shortchange myself in that way. And I want to move forward in my recovery in a very optimistic, hopeful, clean, and adventurous way, acknowledging that I can use this beautiful thing and this platform of recovery as a springboard for me to be great and to express myself, and using gratitude as the ultimate complement to the recovery journey because we live to fight another day. And I'm telling you, I just had lost family members. I lost a 20-year-old family member that was the most beautiful soul in the world, and he died of natural causes. And all I'm gonna say about that is I would give anything in this world to get that person back, and he did not deserve it. And there's many people out there that continuously to take their life for granted when there's actual good people that just don't make it, right? And we don't know why, but we know that if we live to fight another day, then we should do it with some grace, some love, some courage, some humility, and really go out there and make something of ourselves. Use your recovery to do something great and to make something of yourself. And don't get so hung up in what other people are doing or what you don't, or what you lack, or what you don't have. Find gratitude and say, yo, I'm alive. I could do this. Today starts a new day. Let's get going. All right. I'm Pop Buchanan. I love you all. Go in peace, and I'll catch you on the other side. Welcome to Sober is Dope. If you're new, go to Sober is Dope podcast. You can find us on Apple, Google, Deezer, Audible, Spotify. Just type in Sober is Dope. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Sober is Dope. And check out some of my art. Me and my girl started an art company called Meta is Dope. Google Meta is Dope, like Facebook Meta is Dope. Google that. We have no associations with Facebook. Also, I'm a music artist. Check out my music. I run a record label called Grand Echelon Music. It's a sober record label founded by myself and my sober best friend and brother, Nudgy Nudge. And we started this company out of something we call the threshold of love and pain and recovery, and the sacred thing of ours called recovery. And we just want to make great music. And it's a testament that you're never too late to follow your dream, because I'm 40, I'm in my 40s, and I'm still making music. I do hip hop, and I'm not going to stop. I'll be doing it till I'm 80 because it's my thing. It's what I've been doing since I was a kid, and I'm not going to let my addiction rob me of my talent. So if you're listening to Sober is Dope, follow me on Spotify and Apple. Type in Pop Buchanan and follow me. Give me a share. I make raw hip hop about my journey, and some of it sometimes may be gritty and dirty and dark, but it's real. It's from an aspect of like reflection. I'm getting a lot of stuff out of me. So support the music journey. And it's just a testament that, hey, I could be a podcaster. I'm an author. I could do music. Creativity tames the beast. I'm telling y'all, be creative in all ways. Go forth as above, so below, and use that creation. So go out there and support, man. If anybody wants to donate to the Sober is Dope podcast, you could do it on PayPal. You can find me at Pop Buchanan on PayPal, $ Pop Buchanan on Cash App. And yeah, you could donate any proceeds or go back to the podcast or to help somebody that's in addiction or to help with future projects. I love you all. Last but not least, if you haven't purchased the Sober is Dope book or Sober New Year's book, you could find it on Amazon. And please leave a positive review. It helps just get the book out to more people that could use it. And what I would say about the books that I write, they're really tools. They're just big compendium of tools that you could use to realign yourself spiritually, psychologically, and mentally as far as like emotional stability is concerned. We have prayers, affirmations, stories, reflections, concepts, and ideas, all related to the healing process and the recovery journey. So yeah, go support your boy, Pop Buchanan. And if not, just by listening to this, you support me. Thank you for your patience as I went through this hiatus on the podcast. I do take long breaks sometime. I just went through a moving process. Like I said, I moved into a new area. I'm really happy, and we have a new podcast set up. And it took a while. Had a couple of deaths in the family, and sometimes I like to deal with grief by just I by taking a break from just the everyday business of it all and just reflecting on just life. So, we're approaching springtime, and now it's this new time to get involved with just the mission and the message of Soul Biz Dope. And we're thriving on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. You get a lot of content on YouTube that you're not going to get on the Instagram. I love you guys. Follow me, tap in. I want my community to be active. I want you to follow what I'm doing and use me as an example of what can be done on a recovery journey. Thank you for listening to Sober is Dope. This episode is about living life in recovery, being free and not being restricted in your recovery, like not limiting ourselves based on a recovery journey and letting everyone else have fun, so to say. Have a little bit of fun, spice it up, and heal. Use your recovery to heal mind, body, and spirit. You could be better. I am better than I was 12 years ago, physically, mentally, spiritually. That means that there's hope that as we age, we can improve. All right. I love you all, and have a beautiful day. And thank you for being supportive to Sober is Dope over the years. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.